Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 271 based on novel. So let's start. I didn't think the records of the ancient Rain celestial realm was actually true. Esteemed Xian Bao smiled as he looked at the moongazer serpent moving forward while surrounded by all heaven cultivators. His eyes lit up and his right hand waved in the air as he softly said, "Rain celestial guard." After he spoke, bursts of roars echoed among the stars. A giant crack appeared before esteemed Xian Bao. This crack was like a wound being opened in thin air, and it was at least 1,000 feet long. An extremely powerful pressure surrounded the area. There was a flash of golden light as a golden-armored man walked out. This golden man gave off a golden glow. He was as eye-catching as the sun. He wore a gorgeous golden armor and looked like a soldier of the heavens. With one step, this golden-armored man descended from the crack. Then there were more golden flashes and 3 more golden-armored men stepped out. At this instant, the entire area was lit up by this golden glow. When Wang Lin saw these 4 golden-armored men, his pupils mercilessly shrank. He was extremely startled. Celestial guards. Wang Lin clearly felt that these 4 golden-armored men gave off the same aura as Ta Shan. These 4 big fellows were clearly refined using the secret method that Celestial Emperor Qing Ling created. Celestial guards are split between gold, silver, copper, and iron rank. These 4 big fellows are all gold rank. Wang Lin looked at esteemed Xian Bao and quickly retreated toward the edge of the vortex. After the 4 golden-armored celestial guards appeared, esteemed Xian Bao's expression raised his right hand while wearing a neutral expression. In a flash, the 4 celestial guards charged at the moongazer serpent. As the moongazer serpent roared, its tentacles swept everything around it. At the same time, Blood God and the others that were around it immediately charged out at the 4 celestial guards. The Blood God formed a seal as he moved forward. Then blood light spread out and he waved his hand. A sea of blood appeared out of nowhere and charged forward. However, when the sea of blood hit the celestial guards, it barely made them pause for a moment. The celestial guards split off in 4 directions and surrounded the moongazer serpent along with the all-heaven cultivators. Esteemed Xian Bao's right hand reached into the void once more and another crack appeared. 9 black butterflies suddenly flew out. These 9 butterflies were completely black and from a distance, they looked extremely ferocious. The moment they appeared, they flapped their wings and a storm was set off. This storm was very powerful and it swept forward. The 9 butterflies flew forward in a dance. The moment the butterflies appeared, even with Wang Lin's mental fortitude, his expression changed greatly. This is the butterfly formed by the god-slaying war chariot. Wang Lin gasped, but then he immediately discovered a difference. The butterfly formed by the war chariot was colorful and extremely beautiful. However, these 9 butterflies were completely black. It was obvious these butterflies' power went toward another extreme compared to Wang Lin's butterfly. What is this old man's identity? Wang Lin's scalp felt numb. Not even Qing Shui made Wang Lin this shocked. Not even the mysterious cultivator who stopped the battle between Qing Shui and the blood god made Wang Lin feel so much disbelief. A celestial guard and the butterfly were both treasures Wang Lin possessed. However, when he saw it in someone else's hands, it caused his shock to reach its peak. Wang Lin took a deep breath and no longer looked. He moved very fast and charged toward a treasure that was floating among the stars that he had been eyeing for a while. This treasure was the wood carving the Black Fiend Devil Saint had taken out. Although only half of it remained, it still gave off a powerful pressure. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. The current battle was not something he could participate in anymore. The best choice right now was to fish in these troubled waters. Wang Lin moved very fast as he charged toward that half-damaged wood carving. There were many other people who had the idea of fishing for treasures during this battle, so it was not surprising that there were several cultivators fighting each other around the wood carving, not allowing anyone to get close. Wang Lin's arrival immediately caught the attention of the cultivators. This caused these people to immediately change directions without hesitation. The all-heaven cultivators hesitated for a moment, but the alliance cultivators immediately sent a few people after Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was calm as his right hand formed a seal, then he waved his hand. A gust of wind charged forward like crazy, and following that, Wang Lin mercilessly threw a punch. There was a loud bang and the violent ripples from the punch combined with the gust of wind to create a power unique to Wang Lin. The power of the ancient god combined with the power of spells was the start of Wang Lin's strength. However, these two forces had just started fusing and hadn't shown their true strength yet. As it swept by those alliance cultivators, their bodies and origin souls trembled and they felt an unimaginable, mysterious force arrive. They couldn't help but retreat because they as if they would immediately die if they didn't retreat. They had never encountered such a spell in all their years of cultivation. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and the ancient god furnace appeared around him. In the blink of an eye, he switched places with one of them. In the eyes of the surrounding cultivators, their visions blurred and Wang Lin also changed positions. He then charged out and arrived next to the wood carving in an instant. However, just as he closed in, a ray of sword energy appeared from the void and charged at him. This sword energy contained a very tyrannical aura, as if everything must avoid it or be destroyed. Wang Lin wasn't unfamiliar with this sword energy, it was something that belonged to Ling Qianhu. This treasure belongs to my Dao Lu sword sect's Chen Long. The cold voice echoed as a ray of sword energy closed in. If Wang Lin tried to take the treasure, he would be hit by the sword energy. Wang Lin's expression remained neutral, and he didn't hesitate at all to seize the half-destroyed wood carving. His eyes revealed a mysterious light as he opened his mouth and spat out something to block before him. The 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp instantly appeared and the sword energy smashed into it and collapsed. The 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp didn't budge at all, then Wang Lin pulled it back. An old acquaintance who barely escaped with his soul back then dares to steal a treasure before me. Wang Lin left these cold words, and the expression on Chen Long's face changed. He knew it wasn't the time to kill right now, so he left. There were too many cultivators during this battle, so it was impossible to clearly see each other's faces. Also, Wang Lin never stayed in one place for too long and was constantly moving, so Chen Long hadn't recognized Wang Lin. However, when Chen Long looked over, Wang Lin looked a bit familiar, but he would never have matched this person with Wang Lin. Now that he heard Wang Lin's words, it was as if a bolt of thunder had flashed across his mind. Disbelief filled his eyes as he exclaimed, "You!" Wang Lin didn't pay any attention to Chen Long and disappeared. He wandered the battlefield and continued to take the magic treasures of people who died. However, his divine sense was locked onto the Moongazer Serpent, waiting for a chance, a moment when the Alliance began their battle against the Moongazer Serpent so he could obtain the inheritance inside the Moongazer Serpent. Wang Lin's gaze would occasionally turn to the woman in the blue dress. Her demeanor toward him was very strange. While Wang Lin was cautiously wandering around, he had been wondering who this woman was. The 4 golden celestial guards surrounded the Moongazer Serpent. They created a golden circle that trapped the Moongazer Serpent inside. As Blood God and company retaliated, the 9 butterflies flapped their wings and formed a storm with the Moongazer Serpent as the center. A vortex that seemed to connect the heavens and earth was formed. Blood God and company had gloomy expressions inside the vortex. They used their respective magic treasures, creating constant rumbles. The Moongazer Serpent was even more angry, being trapped twice had made it almost crazy. It opened its big mouth and let out an infuriated roar. As it roared, the words of the ancient gods came out. The Moongazer Serpent was using a spell of the ancient gods. Esteemed Xian Bao's eyes lit up and he pointed forward while laughing. The speed of the 9 butterflies' wings immediately increased and black lines appeared. The countless black lines intersected around the Moongazer Serpent and quickly formed a siege. The 4 golden celestial guards let out roars and their bodies vibrated and instantly grew into 1,000-foot giants. Then they launched their attacks together. Esteemed Xian Bao's face had a smile as his right hand reached out and a crack appeared. Green gas came out of this crack. Along with the green gas, an aura that made the minds of all the cultivators within 5,000 kilometers tremble appeared. Wang Lin's body trembled. When he closely looked over, he saw an arrow come out from the crack. This arrow was too large, it was more than 300 feet long and 7 feet wide. It was completely green and the arrow tip had 6 edges. At the end of the arrow, there were purple feathers. In addition, there were some dark red blood stains on the arrow. What shook all the surrounding cultivators was that dark red blood stain. The moment the arrow appeared, even the expressions of Blood God and company changed. Even Master Flames Park, who was fighting against Wudo Chan, trembled and immediately saw the 300-foot arrow. Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow. At this moment, the roar of the Moongazer Serpent echoed, and it contained the language of the ancient gods. A giant crack appeared and headed straight for esteemed Xian Bao. In the blink of an eye, the space around esteemed Xian Bao collapsed. As the rumbles echoed, esteemed Xian Bao's expression was calm. He pointed at the 300-foot arrow and said, "Nirvana Void." Master Flamespark's pupils shrank and he became serious. He remembered this arrow. It was one of the Alliance's great treasures, the Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow. Rumor had it that the arrow's origin was unknown and had existed for it had been around since as early as the Celestial Realm. Rumors also said that the blood stain on it gave it strange powers. When he decided to slaughter his way into the Alliance, he had prepared a counter to all the treasures he knew the Alliance had. When he saw the Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow, he sneered. This Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow is rumored to be unpredictable, but I wonder how it compared to this moon beast. The 300-foot arrow trembled with a point of esteemed Xian Bao's finger. It then rushed forward like an arrow that was shot from a bow and headed straight for the Moongazer Serpent. The Moongazer Serpent's eyes revealed endless coldness. The moment it saw the 300-foot arrow, it felt a sense of danger. When it saw the arrow that it sensed danger from coming at it, it opened its mouth and let out a roar. Specks of light appeared before it and quickly condensed into another ancient god finger. After the ancient god finger appeared, it immediately shot toward the arrow. The Moongazer Serpent let out an angry roar and countless Moongazer Serpents charged out from inside it. There were hundreds of thousands of them at varying sizes. The moment they appeared, the battlefield became even more chaotic. This battlefield was no longer between All Heaven and the Alliance, but the Alliance against the Moongazer Serpent. When countless Moongazer Serpents charged out, the expressions of the Alliance cultivators changed greatly. They quickly retreated, but their speed was no match for the Moongazer Serpents. The countless Moongazer Serpents spread out and started a bloodbath. During the chaotic battle, some All Heaven cultivators were affected. As for Wang Lin, a 30,000-foot Moongazer Serpent charged at him. His expression was gloomy as he quickly avoided it and didn't bother getting entangled with it. Wang Lin knew that the only reason for these smaller Moongazer Serpents to appear was to condense the most powerful ancient god finger. At this moment, the arrow charged over and collided with the ancient god finger formed by the Moongazer Serpent. A thunderous bang echoed across the northern region of the Alliance. An ancient aura came from the dark red blood stain that covered the arrow and directly broke through the ancient god finger, then it lunged straight toward the Moongazer Serpent. This scene caused Wang Lin's eyes to open wide in shock. For the first time, the Moongazer Serpent paused and then roared once more. At this instant, all of the smaller Moongazer Serpents, including the one after Wang Lin, turned around and began to roar. This wasn't the roar of one Moongazer Serpent, but the roars of hundreds of thousands of Moongazer Serpents under the call of their mother. Ancient god fingers appeared one by one until the area was filled with ancient god fingers. All of Wang Lin's pores opened up and ecstasy filled his eyes as he absorbed this aura like crazy. He could clearly feel his ancient god body's strength increased by leaps and bounds. The illusory fourth star hidden between his eyebrows was becoming more corporeal at this moment. All of this made Wang Lin ecstatic. Ancient god's aura. I didn't think that an ancient god's aura would form here. Although there isn't much, it indeed exists. Countless ancient god fingers formed within the area, and in the blink of an eye, an almost corporeal ancient god finger appeared before the eyes of the surrounding cultivators. The strange cracks on the finger were extremely clear. This scene even caused the expression of esteemed Xian Nao to change. His expression became a bit gloomy. This Moongazer Serpent is a bit different from what the ancient records say. However, I have the Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow, so no matter how strong the Moongazer Serpent is, it can't avoid this arrow. Esteemed Xian Bao was very confident in the strength of the Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow. Although my Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow is only rank 9, if I can capture this Moongazer Serpent and refine it, it will become another Pseudo-Nirvana Void treasure. By fusing the two, along with the tens of thousands of years of preparation I made, I'm 80% confident in creating a rank 8 Pseudo-Nirvana Void treasure. This way, my position in the Elder Group will increase and I'll have some means to contend with Zhong Xuanzi. The Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow charged ahead until it collided with the ancient god finger that had just reformed. The Moongazer Serpent's roar turned into an impact and its huge body charged forward after the ancient god finger. However, the moment the arrow collided with the ancient god finger, a shocking change occurred in the Alliance's northern region. The ancient god finger unexpectedly collapsed again. A thunderous rumble echoed, and all the surrounding cultivators, including Wang Lin, felt the blood in their body surge and directly coughed it out. If Wang Lin was like this, then there was no need to talk about others. Their bodies directly collapsed into piles of flesh and blood. They were shaken to death. Even the expressions of Blood God and company changed greatly, and they quickly retreated. In the blink of an eye, no cultivators were near the Moongazer Serpent anymore. Only those four golden celestial guards were still clinging to the moongazer serpent. They worked together with the 9 black butterflies to keep creating storms. The instant the ancient god finger collapsed, more than half of the smaller moongazer serpents collapsed. Bursts of blue blood spattered, making it seem as if space itself was dyed blue. This was the first time Wang Lin had seen a moongazer serpent's collapse. Although they were only small moongazer serpents, the amount shook his mind. The moongazer serpent was something that lived inside the ancient god's body, and its toughness was unimaginable. Even small moongazer serpents weren't creatures a cultivator could break, but what happened just now turned all that upside down. What level of treasure is this pseudo-nirvana void arrow? Wang Lin wiped away the blood on his mouth as he stared at the scene before him. His mind was completely blank. Along with the small moongazer serpents and the ancient god finger, esteemed Xian Bao's pseudo-nirvana void arrow also collapsed. Countless cracks appeared on the arrow as it faced the unimaginable impact of the ancient god finger, and it shattered inch by inch. Esteemed Xian Bao's eyes shined brightly. Although things had turned out a bit different from what he expected, overall, it wasn't too much outside his expectations. This moongazer serpent belongs to this old man. Esteemed Xian Bao laughed and moved forward. A shadow flashed out from the shattered pseudo-nirvana void arrow. This shadow was also an arrow. This arrow was only 3 inches long, but it looked exactly the same as the 300-foot arrow. The only difference was that the blood wasn't dark red but bright red. It was as if it was just stained with blood. It was scarlet red. This was the true pseudo-nirvana void arrow. The arrow charged out with unimaginable speed. In an instant, it pierced between the moongazer serpent's eyes. The instant it penetrated the moongazer serpent, the arrow released an unimaginable force, and the resulting rumbling caused the stars to shake. For the first time, the moongazer serpent's large body trembled and retreated. A black vortex appeared between the moongazer serpent's eyes and collapsed violently. A fountain of blue blood gushed out. The arrow rotated inside the black vortex and charged deeper. Every time it charged, there would be collapse. The moongazer serpent's miserable scream echoed across the stars. This mournful cry made Wang Lin tremble as if there was a terrible pain in his heart. He retreated even faster while looking at the moongazer serpent. This was the first time the moongazer serpent had been seriously injured. The sound of its cry echoed as the remaining smaller moongazer serpents all began to collapse. All the smaller moongazer serpents in the area died. The moongazer serpent's eyes were blood red. It was truly angry. The anger this time was far more intense than anything it had felt in the past tens of thousands of years. This was especially true for the arrow that now threatened its survival. Angered, the moongazer serpent's mournful cry reached its peak and 7 faint stars suddenly appeared before it. As the stars rotated, one of them suddenly exploded under the roar of the moongazer serpent. A shattered star of an ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light when he saw this. As the star collapsed, an extremely powerful force charged out from the moongazer serpent. This force was so powerful that the vortex between the moongazer serpent's eyes was torn apart. The arrow was also forced out of the moongazer serpent's body. This scene caused the expression of esteemed Xian Bao, who was closing in, to change. Impossible. According to the ancient records, an ordinary moongazer serpent can't possibly survive a pseudo-nirvana void treasure. Although this moongazer serpent is large and fierce, it should be seriously injured. Master Flames Park sneered when he saw all of this. Senior said that the purpose of sending this moongazer serpent into the alliance was to make it angry. The angrier it becomes, the more damage this beast can do. The moongazer serpent's anger reached its peak, and it borrowed the power of the shattered star to push the arrow out. Due to the intense pain, it had almost lost its mind. Its eyes were red, and the only thought in its mind was kill, 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 kill. As the moongazer serpent's roar echoed, the countless tentacles on its body fell off. Then the tentacles all gathered before the moongazer serpent. They intersected together and formed a huge arm. This arm was 100,000 feet long and formed a fist. From a distance, it looked like the arm of an ancient god. The moongazer serpent's anger was like the finger of the ancient god. However, when the moongazer serpent's anger reached its limit, it would be like the arm of an ancient god. The moment the ancient god arm appeared, it mercilessly charged forward. Its target was the pseudo-nirvana void arrow. This punch made Wang Lin feel an illusion. He felt as if he had gone back countless years to ancient times when the ancient gods reversed the heavens. He saw an ancient god waving his arm and roaring. The planet collapsed, space collapsed, and all his enemies disintegrated. At this moment, the ancient god arm formed by the Moongazer serpent was like this. The punch flew out and landed on the arrow. The arrow trembled and immediately collapsed. Even a pseudo-nirvana void treasure had to shatter under the punch of an ancient god. Esteemed Xian Bao coughed out blood and retreated without hesitation. However, just at this moment, an extremely cold energy filled the stars. At the same time, a bolt of red lightning suddenly closed in. This red lightning bolt was too fast and its timing was very good. It was exactly at the moment esteemed Xian Bao's mind trembled due to his treasure being destroyed. The red lightning bolt contained extreme coldness, and it emitted the powerful force of Ji. It flashed forward the moment esteemed Xian Bao retreated. Esteemed Xian Bao didn't have time to dodge, so the red lightning charged into his body. His expression changed greatly, he coughed out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes went out of focus for a moment. Just at this moment, Qing Shui walked out wearing white. He had an indifferent expression. When he appeared, there was a flash of red from his right eye and several more bolts of red lightning shot out toward esteemed Xian Bao. The Ji realm appeared. Ji realm. A bang came from esteemed Xian Bao's body and then large amounts of blood spray out from his back. He quickly retreated, but the red lightning chased closely after him. The moment Qing Shui appeared, his hand formed a seal and pointed up. In an instant, black wind appeared and formed 7 black dragons. They let out roars and spewed out cold air that could extinguish all life as they rushed toward esteemed Xian Bao. Xian Bao, do you still recognize this lord? Qing Shui had long since arrived on the battlefield. No one beside esteemed Xian Bao was worthy enough to make him move. Qing Shui, you're not dead. Esteemed Xian Bao quickly retreated, but his retreat was blocked by 7 black dragons. Under the blast of cold air, esteemed Xian Bao clenched his teeth while forming a seal and pointed ahead. The 9 black butterflies around the Moongazer serpent disappeared, and when they reappeared, they were next to esteemed Xian Bao. 9 butterflies, returned to 1. The 9 butterflies flapped their wings at once and glowed black. In almost an instant, they fused into 1. When the 9 rays of black light fused, an unimaginable change occurred. When the 9 butterflies fused into 1, it gave off a 4-colored light. As its wings flapped, 4-colored powder fell and formed a 4-colored vortex around esteemed Xian Bao. It immediately blocked the 7 black dragons outside. If it was a magic treasure made by your senior brother, esteemed Xian Bao, I, Qing Shui, would be a bit worried. However, you aren't qualified. As Qing Shui's cold voice echoed, both of his hands formed a seal. As the 7 black dragons roared, hundreds of thousands, close to 1 million, raindrops appeared. These raindrops were densely packed and they blasted toward esteemed Xian Bao, who was surrounded by the powder from the 4-colored butterfly. Popping sounds echoed and esteemed Xian Bao revealed a bitter smile. His identity was a mystery to others, but there was nothing he could hide from Qing Shui. He was a celestial from the Rain Celestial realm. He was also the junior brother of esteemed Xian Bao, who created the god-slaying war chariot. Qing Shui, don't push me too far. The celestial realm no longer exists, this is the Alliance star system. Esteemed Xian Bao shouted as his arms opened. The celestial origin he had kept sealed for countless years was suddenly opened. Endless celestial spiritual energy filled the area. It made the surrounding area feel like it was the celestial realm. At the same time, his hand formed a seal and then pointed at the 4-colored butterfly. The butterfly suddenly shook and one of its wings fell off like petal. In an instant, the wing turned into 4 different colors and formed 4 vortexes. Law of Nirvana Void. As esteemed Xian Bao spoke, the 4 vortexes formed by the wing suddenly exploded and tons of 4-colored powder spread. Qing Shui's called the wind and summoned the rain were affected by the powder and immediately dissipated. There was no trace of any spell remaining. All of it disappeared. Esteemed Xian Bao pointed forward without any hesitation and the other wing on the 4-colored butterfly fell off. As the butterfly dissipated, the wing floated and another change occurred. All the spells that disappeared, including Qing Shui's call the wind and summon the rain, reappeared. However, this time they became esteemed Xian Bao spells. As he roared, his arms stretched out and immediately pushed call the wind and summoned the rain back. One part was used to stop the Moongazer serpent and the other was to attack Qing Shui. Using this moment, esteemed Xian Bao quickly retreated. However, the red lightning chased closely after him, giving him a headache. If the pseudo-Nirvana void arrow was still there, he could have battled Qing Shui without fear. Thinking about his pseudo-nirvana void arrow, he felt a pain in his heart. He didn't expect this moongazer serpent to be so powerful. It was too different from the ones in the ancient records. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here. Not only did he not succeed, he also lost his only pseudo-nirvana void treasure. He could imagine how his status in the elder group would fall greatly as a result. And now he had met the fiend Qing Shui from back then. Although he didn't know how Qing Shui didn't die, since he himself could survive until now, then this Qing Shui must have had some methods as well. At this moment of crisis, he had no time to think about this. The only thought in his mind was to quickly escape. When Wang Lin saw this scene, his mind trembled and his heart started beating rapidly. Bang bang, bang bang. All sounds were removed from his ears except for the beating of his heart. His brain had memorized the hand seal that esteemed Qian Bao used. He firmly remembered it. So this person is esteemed Qian Bao's junior brother, and the four-colored butterfly was created by him, but it is not as strong as the one created by esteemed Qian Bao. If I can just figure out his seal. Wang Lin's heart beat even faster and his eyes remained unblinking. The call the wind and summon the rain that were pushed back didn't stop Qing Shui at all. His eyes were cold as his right hand reached at the void and countless crystal specks appeared in his hand. Then they scattered forward. Magic arsenal. Countless specks of light scattered and turned into countless shadows. Qing Shui's magic arsenal had appeared once. The countless figures gave off powerful auras, and in an instant, there were thousands of soldiers before Qing Shui. With the point of Qing Shui's finger, the shadows all charged out toward the call the wind and summon the rain. Esteemed Qian Bao's pupils shrank and his heart felt bitter. Some of those shadows were his old friends. He let out a sigh as a flash of ferociousness appeared in his eyes and he shouted, "Qing Shui, I'll let you see what this old man has learned of the power of magic treasures. All the treasures in the world have a silver of source origin energy. This old man has studied this source origin energy for tens of thousands of years and has glimpsed the path." Esteemed Qian Bao's arms stretched open and each hand formed a different seal. An invisible ripple immediately spread from his body. In the blink of an eye, the ripple covered tens of thousands of kilometers. The treasures around the surviving cultivators all moved on their own and the expressions of those cultivators changed. The treasures even cut off their connections with their masters on their own. This scene caused everyone to become dumbfounded. There were also the countless treasures of cultivators that had died. All these treasures began to gather toward esteemed Qian Bao. It was as if esteemed Qian Bao was the owner of all magic treasures and all magic treasures had to respond to his summon. However, what really made the minds of the cultivators and Wang Lin tremble was their bags of holding. Bags of holding were also considered treasures. At this instant, everyone's bags of holding flew out. During this process, the bags opened up by themselves and the treasures inside flew out. Wang Lin's bag of holding was the same. His expression changed as his right hand reached out and grabbed his bag. However, at this moment, there was a mysterious force around his bag, and the moment he touched it, he felt a burning heat enter his body. If he didn't let go, his origin soul would immediately be destroyed. Many surrounding cultivators also grabbed their bags. However, after a moment, they all bitterly let go and watched their bags of holding fly away. The objects inside Wang Lin's bag of holding were too valuable, so he couldn't let go. At the moment of crisis, he opened his third eye without hesitation and a red light landed on his bag. A sliver of source origin came out and dissipated the strange force on his bag. Wang Lin's face became pale as he let out a breath of relief and he held tightly onto his bag of holding. This video will end here.